to another episode of Dr. Kamini Rao's Masterclass. Every time you feel tired, remind yourself of why you are doing what you're doing and then just keep going. When something tears you apart, when something inside you pushes you towards your goals, when sometime you will be productive and you will never feel pushed. There are times when you tell yourself, what am I doing? Where am I going? And then you will find a small light coming before you, and you tell yourself, yes, I'm in the right track. Yes, I'm doing the right thing. Because there are times when you feel very, very low. But I'm telling you that I have found a person. Yes, she's a doctor. Yes, she's a mother. And yes, she's a philosopher. I have found this person such a wonderful person, a friend who's been there for over 4-5 decades. Why do you think I've got her on this masterclass? Because, my friends, I have seen her from such close quarters. She's always been a person with a purpose. She is a person who's absolutely devoured with a goal to be able to do the best. And she will never stop till she's achieved it. But let me tell you, that goal is never reached. Why? Because that goal keeps shifting. And let me not stop at this. And let me not tell you that this is the person that I have admired the most in my own profession. I won't keep you guessing anymore. She is a very prominent gynecologist from Mumbai. And what makes her extraordinary is her ability to work for 16 hours a day. And this is possible only when you love your work. Her love for learning has continued to grow, and with her illustrious career, she has performed over 5,000 laparoscopic and hysteroscopic surgeries and still counting. But what made her 3-decade-old journey in obstetrics a success is the benchmark of laparoscopic removal of over 44 large fibroids with preservation of the uterus. So, let me welcome you to this show, Dr. Kiran Coelho, a classmate of mine. I'm so glad to have you on my masterclass today. Welcome, Dr. Kiran.
Thank you so much, Kamini. I have been watching your masterclass over the years, all your classes, and each one is better than the other. And I think you imbibe your own empathies, your own spirit, and your own philosophy also, and challenge us to do the same. So, thank you so much for inviting me. It's going to be wonderful to go down memory lane with you. So, let me start with my early years and my early struggles. You know, my father was an army officer, and he was extremely strict. My mother was a homemaker, and then after that, she started a very successful Montessori school in Hyderabad. We were seven siblings, and all my parents told us is that studies are important and extracurricular is even more important. So and thanks to being in the army, every 3 years, Kamini, we had to get up and move to a new city, a new town, new school, new classmates. And fortunately, no, not a new language because we could take Sanskrit because, that was the rule. But that made us all very strong. And every time there had to be innovation because you were making new friends, etc. And thanks to this upbringing and my parents, absolutely. And I think all of us parents, that generation, Kamini, even yours, academic studies and extracurricular was so important. I still remember my father's motto, mens sana in corpore sano. That is a sound mind in a sound body. So we not only had to come with first grades in our school from our every year classes, but we had to do, and in the army we could, swimming, horse riding, every single debate we had to enter, every single essay writing competition we had to enter. I was a state hockey champion. My mother was a state hockey champion. My father was also representing. He was in the First World War and the Second World War and the Chinese aggression. So
Wow.
with this background, all of us, and he was a highly decorated officer. With this background, all we did, parties, clothes, everything else was secondary. It was all about studies and extracurricular. So that, my friends, my dear friends who are listening to me, I think that holistic education somehow, because of our current generation, we seem to have lost that on the way. And that is why more girls are getting PCOD and hormonal imbalances, etc., because that balance between academics, studies, shining there, and also excelling in sports and other extracurricular, somewhere along that way, because of lack of time, too much of competition, or what it is, we seem to have lost that.
But
Yeah.
Kiran, I always
Go on.
want to know, you had such a large family, your siblings, etc. To what extent did the siblings actually imbibe from each of you all? How much did that actually play a role in molding what you are today?
Yeah, we were seven siblings. I was the second. My younger brother wanted to do medicine because I did medicine. We had uncles and aunts. My mother's sister, my father's sister were all famous gynecologists in America. So
Wow.
every time they would come down for vacation, and we would be in awe of them. And I always felt, you know, it's so wonderful to be a doctor because they were such amazing personalities. Then later on, when I became a doctor, I refused to go to America because I felt I'm much more comfortable in my own country, because the reason I wanted to become a doctor was to have empathy and a close relationship with my patient, which I feel is not possible in the States, because I had been there for many conferences. My own daughter is a gastroenterologist at the Mayo Clinic. My son is there, but somehow, right from the beginning, even though I had got very good marks on USMLE, Kamini, I didn't go to the States because I felt that one-to-one relationship that you have with your patient is only possible in India. And over the years, I have so many anecdotes. Now I'm doing my second generation and some third generation deliveries. When you deliver a patient, you become their friend, they become yours, their family becomes your family. And as a result, even after delivering the baby, they will contact you for all their relations, for their children, their pediatric problems, their all other problems. You become almost like a family doctor. And that is the sort of relationship I always wanted with my patient, and especially empathy for women. The reason why, all along I felt a woman is so important, but she gives herself the least importance. She is so busy looking after her parents, her husband, her children. Her wants come last. And yet she's the most important person in the family. True is the saying, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, because unless you take care of the woman in the house, the whole generation is lost. And women really are self effacing, they are multitasking, and they don't look after their health. So, right from an early age, that empathy with women, wanting to help women, I think carved my career.
Yeah, but Kiran, do you have any instances where, among your family, known as the Rock of Gibraltar, though you were the second in the family, but you were known
Yeah.
as the Rock of Gibraltar in your family. So, can you give me some instances where this was, amply exemplified?
Right. In the family, I always stood first in my class, so that was something. I was the head girl of my school. My younger brother, who was just, I think, 13 months younger than me. Now he's a very famous surgeon in the US. He has his own hospital, but he wanted to emulate me all the time. So he said, if she can do it, I'll do it, because I did medicine, he did medicine. It was like that. And the younger siblings also, everyone in their own way, they did their own. But I think my Rock of Gibraltar at that time was really both my parents. My father, for his strictness and his single minded, and a very, he always believed in simple living, high thinking. We didn't have much because we were seven siblings and children of an army officer. Very often we couldn't attend birthday parties because we didn't have money to give the gift, you know. That was the situation, because 7 children. Then, of course, my mother started her school after my father's retirement, and things were better. But all of us, we managed on our own. We got scholarships. I still remember, even our nice, whatever clothes we wanted to buy, it used to be from our prize money, either
Oh,
academic money or extracurricular money. And it was the greatest joy of my life to give my first salary, buy something for my mother. You know, we were not
oh,
badly off, but at the same time, we were not rich, you see. So that's why, and I think that's where what gives you fire in the belly. And also your goals, as you rightly said, one has to set goals and single-mindedly go towards that goal. So my rocks of Gibraltar in my childhood were definitely my parents. And after marriage, my husband Kamini, it's been my husband. He has been my total rock, because I had so many struggles. You know, in medical college, I took gynecology because I got the gynae gold medal. My mentor was at that time Dr. S.N. Coelho, wonderful
ah,
gynecologist in
fantastic,
terms of
fantastic.
knowledge as well as empathy towards women. I loved gynecology because of him. And since I got the gyne gold, and in Karnataka in those days, and our days, Kamini, unless you stood first and you were K1, you have to stand first in the entire state to get a MD seat, which is what
Absolutely.
I got. So I was the first in the state in gynecology in my year, and I got the MD seat in Bangalore Medical College. Then I, of course, was doing my senior housemanship when we were classmates in St. Martha's. Then I met my husband, got married, and we came to Bombay. And that's where another struggle began. Because even though I was a gold medalist first in the state, etc., I was not considered in Mumbai at all for post graduation. I could do my DGO and DFP, but I could not do my MD. So my husband was determined. He says, "Why not?" And we went, and mine was the first court case coming in those days where I moved the court. My counsel was Justice Sirvai's son, Navroz Sirvai, wonderful man,
Ah,
a great on constitutional law. So my plea was, other things being equal, by not accepting me for a postgraduate seat, stating institutional preference is ultra virus to Article 14 and 16 of the Indian Constitution.
wow.
So I won the case. There were many other cases. It used to be in the papers, gold medalist seeks redressal, etc., etc. So then, based on my case and many other similar cases, Justice P.N. Bhagwati then passed the ruling that there should be a, a person to get the seats, some seats reserved for all India merit. So, fortunately for me, that one seat in the government college, that is Grant Medical College, went to the person with all India merit. Those days, there were no entrance exams. This was just all India merit on basis of marks. And I was that one candidate. So I
Fantastic.
got my seat in Grant Medical College. As a result of which this ruling, there was a Rasta Roko in Grant Medical College. All the Grant Medical students went on Rasta Roko. But anyway, I got my seat, and then I continued in Grant Medical College, and then I went on to do my MD in Grant Medical College. Then I joined the Maharashtra Public Service Commission. I was a lecturer, reader, assistant professor, and today no one knows that actually I'm from Karnataka and not from Maharashtra, because I'm so integrated into the teaching institutions in Mumbai. So that was a
Yeah,
real struggle.
yeah, but Kiran, you also were there with us in St. John's Medical College. Is that
That's
right?
right. I did my senior housemanship with you.
You did senior
After finishing
housemanship.
my internship, yeah, after finishing my internship, I had
Then
applied
you came
for,
there.
and I got the seat for. But there also there was a struggle, Kamini. I wonder if you remember, because I
Ah,
should have got the seat, but then someone with influence said that I did not have 5 years school education in the state of
yes,
Karnataka.
yes, yes. Domicile.
And then
That was that.
and then again in Karnataka, I went to court, and my counsel was Santosh Hegde, Krishna
Oh,
Hegde's son, where he used to play golf with my father's brother, Brigadier Ferris. So he took my case and said that she is an army officer's daughter,
how
so
can you
she
have?
should get the seat. So that 1 year interval between getting my seat at Bangalore Medical College, I joined you at St. Martha's, and we did our senior housemanship together.
Yes,
Those were
yes,
wonderful days. I
absolutely.
learned a
So you,
lot. I know. from our mentors, Krishna Kumar and Lalit Kumari and all the LKs. And you remember our days, how hard we
Yes,
worked.
I remember. Of course, I remember.
And Mother Virginie, who actually
Yes,
taught me how to do manual rotation and forceps, I learned from Mother Virginie, one of the
yes.
best midwife nurses we've ever had here.
Yeah, and you were her favorite, no doubt. Okay, because she liked Krishna Kumari, and you were K, and
Yes,
she was KK, and so
yeah,
behind you, I came another K. So there were KKs, UK, and me K. So we all were 4Ks. Did you remember
I
that?
know. I
Oh, it
remember that.
was
42 years, Kamini, 42 years.
yes. So, but going back again, I felt that being with your father, I just wanted to know a little bit on when you met your husband. What was the funda behind this? How did you actually say? Was he as great? And what did you see in your husband that you found that he would be your life partner?
I know. You know what
And
happened was I was doing my senior housemanship in St. Martha's at that time, and there was a wedding in the family. You know, Bangalore is where all our Mangaloreans are, and
hmm,
my one of my cousins, they were coffee planters, Clara Pinto. Her son, who's my cousin, was getting married, and my aunt said, you know, you are a young 24-year-old girl, marriageable age, you have to come for this wedding. So we were literally had to change my duty from I still remember I changed it with Poonam, and I went for this function. My husband met me at the Rose. He is 11 years older than me. He's not from the same profession, also happens to be another cousin because all of us Mangaloreans are related, but I didn't know him. And my parents had already arranged for me in 6 months time to get married to a St. John's doctor who was in the States, which I didn't know because they were, you know, doing this arranged behind my back. So when my husband met me at the gate of the wedding at the roast, the function before that, he took one look at me and he said, "This is the girl for him." So he decided I'm going to marry her. On the day of the wedding, within one day, he proposed. And I thought
wow,
this man is crazy. Yeah, I thought this man is crazy because I'm, you know, a doctor. I want to marry a doctor. I had all my sights set on that. And, you know, he did not, he was an engineer in Bombay at that time with Voltas. He didn't leave Bangalore until I said yes. So every
what's
morning,
his
night, he
name?
was at the gates. Lincoln Coelho. He used to,
Lyndon.
he's the man who brought Pepsi Cola to India.
Wow.
So he, yeah, so he is. So at that time he was so persistent, and then I thought to myself that if a man is so persistent, then surely he's going to look after me all the days of my life. And I said yes.
So he was
You
the
know,
rock on top of the
we
rock of Gibraltar.
absolutely, we were so naive those days, you know, and my parents were so upset. They said, you know, this doctor's from America, he's a cardiologist, and they're coming down, and we've already said yes. I said, anyway, I've made up my mind, and we never looked back, which is why he helped me so much, because he promised my parents that she has a goal she wants to do, I will see to it. And that's why he helped me with all the court cases.
Mhm.
And you know
Oh,
what residency is like in Bombay. I have been, you know, in Kama, Vadia, I've been to all the heavy Rajawadi, all the municipal hospitals where we never saw the light of day. 3 4 days continuously in the OT. We could not leave the campus. So my daughter was actually brought up by my husband. He used to bring her on weekends just to say hello. And
my
that's the kind of
gosh.
sacrifice we had to make in our days. 5 days of continuous emergency in Vadia, where we used to do 20, 30 deliveries per day, so many episiotomies. And in Kama Hospital, another, all the obstructed labors used to be brought to VT Hospital and straight to Kama. I've done cesarean sections on a trolley in status epilepticus with local anesthesia. Those
My
were the
God.
days. Now we can't even hear of it today. When I teach
Absolutely.
my students, I'm still a professor for so many years now, 35 years of teaching experience. And, you know, go back memory lane with all my students, you know, there's been a sea change in our practice for the better,
Absolutely.
of course. But
But
a
do you
lot of
think,
values have been lost on the way, I
yeah,
feel.
but Kiran, I would like to say that don't you think that all this hard work has really paid off now that from one end of Kama Hospital going across the rainbow to the celebrities that you treat now, that you have done it all. You've been able to see the complications and now you're seeing the luxuries. Do you find any change in your way of looking at the masses and the classes? What do you feel?
Yeah, lovely question. Kamini, I have always been, and this is an advice I'd like to give everyone, I've always been true to my trade. What was my passion was looking after women, being there for them during their delivery, being very honest, doing only indicated work, never unindicated surgery. That was my motto. And I never had to look at the money side of it. I always was in first municipal hospitals. Our stipend was 1,000 rupees a month for this longest time. Even when I was an assistant professor at Nair Hospital, my salary was less than my husband's driver's salary. So I used to take the train. So that that was the level of, so compensation was never an idea with me. It was always the patient. Even in Holy Family Hospital, which is a charitable hospital, so much of free surgery, we used to work for a pittance. But that is where you develop all the complications. You knew how to manage a patient. And all throughout, whether she was a poor patient in Holy Family's general ward, or the actresses who all came to me over the years, I would sit by their bedside for at least 2 hours during their labor. I would do the episiotomy myself. I would deliver themselves, and I would see them twice a day, whether they were poor or whether they were rich. And even in my consulting room, no special preference to any of the actresses. All of them will tell you. And there are so many. Over the years, I've delivered Hrithik Roshan's babies and Lara Datta, Mandira Bedi, Meera Kapoor, Salman's sister, then Shilpa Shetty, and you endless number of them. Recently, Shreya Ghoshal, all of them. They would sit with all my other patients in the consulting room and wait their turn, and they never felt it at all. They would always wait. No one pulled rank on me, and and I was as empathetic with them as I was with my other patients, because my every woman to me is a celebrity, and I
Which
think
is
that
very good.
really, which is why they
Ex-
came to me. Number one, for my expertise, because they knew of the vast years of experience that I had, and also because of the empathy. That I think was the I would say the shining light in my career, is that my love for the women whom I treated.
But Kiran, can you tell me certain instances that really touched you, which really made you feel that you chose the right profession? I understand this is like a motherhood story that you tell me, but can you tell me something that touched you, one or two of these instances that makes you still feel and your spine really has that cold impulse going down your spine as you think of this?
I know. I still remember a patient, it was floods like this in many years in Holy Family Hospital, and it was raining cats and dogs. It was, there were floods all over, and I had this patient who was in the general ward. She was a sixth gravida. She had placenta previa, and she had preeclampsia, and she was hemorrhaging, and there was no one to care for her. Now, I took out the car, and my car got flooded. I couldn't move forward. It was 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. I was stranded, and this patient was bleeding. There was no one, even the anesthetist couldn't come. I had to do something. Milkman came on his cycle. So
Ah,
he was on his cycle. So he recognized me. It was at the end of the road from Holy Family. He said, Doctor Saab, aap cycle par baith jao. I'll take you to the hospital. So believe me, at 5 o'clock in the morning, I sat on the milkman's bicycle and reached Holy Family Hospital. My anesthetist somehow managed. We saved that this thing. She was B positive. I gave 1 pint of blood also. My resident doctors came to the fore, and we saved that woman's life. And that is really deeply touched me for that particular case, because definitely her life would be lost. And like that, there have been so many cases, Kamini, because I was a professor in Nair, and now I'm the head of department of Lilavati, which is a big tertiary care center. So over the years, my students over the years have been sending me their bad cases. I had so many instances, you just cannot imagine, on death's door, some cesarean section where wrong suturing was done, patient has, in DIC, then bringing them out, doing the hysterectomy, all the firefighting that we have done over the years, uh, tremendous amount. Yeah, coming to another one, which was really, I feel, God's grace, was a very famous actor's wife who came to me, had gone for her baby moon, Baby moon is now what they all do. And the second trimester, she went for a baby moon and she traipsed all around Europe walking. It was a walking tour. And I told her, baby moon, you have to just go and take, be quiet, etc. But she came at 20 weeks. And at 20 weeks, she was 4 centimeters dilated with the membranes bulging and on the perineum. So I told them this was their first baby. I said, this is now an inevitable miscarriage. We can't do anything. I can do something called a rescue cerclage, where you can just put a stitch, but there's only a 10% chance.